UFC London just passed, and on paper, going into this card, it looked like one of the most promising fight night cards of the year. What we ended up getting was a complete disaster. 9 decisions and 4 submissions on this card, with only 3 of the English fighters getting wins. Questionable judging took place, handing losses to Fletcher, Parkin, and Jan Blachowicz, and local fan fave fighters like Molly McCann and Leon Edwards got demolished with grappling and both submitted. I feel bad for the UK fans. Their best fighter is currently getting stalled out and ducked, and the pay-per-view that they got last year was put on in the middle of the night, and now they're on the receiving end of one of the most boring fight nights I can remember, with one of the worst hometown showings for UFC fans since 297 in Toronto last year, where only one Canadian won. If Paddy Pimblett or Lerone Murphy's fights would have been on this card, it could have looked better for them, with more English star power, but we obviously can't yet say how those fights would have played out either. Really, it comes down to Leon getting stuck with a stylistic and nightmare matchup on relatively short notice. It didn't do him any favors there. Sean Brady dominated every single second of the fight, and the fact that he wasn't given a 10-8 round is a little ridiculous. He set the single round control time record against Leon with 4 minutes and 57 seconds, passing Khamzat's 4 minutes and 55 seconds against Usman. And Sean had over 70 strikes to Khamzat's 43. Khamzat got 10-8 rounds across the board, I think even a 10-7 round for his against Usman, and Sean Brady didn't get any. He was 10-9s across the board for round 2. Either way, with such a brutally dominant win over the former English champion, it's needless to say that by that point in the night, the crowd was dead. Tom Aspinall was interviewed ringside, and during mid-fight of the main event, he said, "Looks like everyone's leaving. I feel like leaving myself." It was a night full of upsets that left local fans silenced, and hometown wins so boring it was putting the crowd to sleep. Nathaniel Wood had a completely unmemorable win over a decently exciting prospect in Morgan Charrier, where, after getting the decision, he stole Ilya's flow and said he would be shedding his old nickname, The Prospect, after his win and moving on to a new one for his next fight. In his interview, he didn't call out anyone specifically, but he did say that he wants either someone ranked or that he could fill in for a title shot if needed. It was a totally bizarre and terrible call out after a completely lame and forgettable performance. Heavily favored prospect Christopher Leroy Duncan got a decision win where he would land a 3-piece combo and proceed to clinch for the rest of the round. This was a really frustrating fight to watch. He would explode, and then anytime he'd do an ounce of damage, he would just clinch and stall. No actual initiative to get a finish until the last 10 seconds of round 3 when he had clearly had this fight in the bag. There was not a single KO or TKO finish on the card, and it really just left so much to be desired. 3 of the 4 submissions took place on UK fighters, with Chris Duncan also getting a submission over Jordan Vucenic. When the finishes actually happened, the crowd wouldn't react at all because it was always against their guys. And to make it worse, with 9 decisions, the UFC didn't even give out a Fight of the Night award. If that's not a sign of a weak card, I don't know what is. Even Kevin Holland, who has a pretty high finish rate in his fights, win or lose, went to decision with old man Gunnar Nelson in an underwhelming outing, which was uncommon for both Nelson and Holland up to this point. As for a quick rundown of future matchups, I think Sean Brady should fight Shavkat. Shavkat was supposed to have the title shot but pulled out with an injury. His best win is a 48-47 decision over 7th ranked Ian Gary, whereas Brady just dismantled number 1 ranked Leon Edwards and got a finish. But Sean Brady was finished by Bilal, so it just gives both guys a bit more validity and a reason for a title shot if whoever wins that one. Leon Edwards should fight the winner of Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. It would line up schedule-wise for both fighters because I believe that fight's taking place on UFC 314, and rankings-wise it makes sense. A top 5 level guy for either Prates or Neal, which is deserving after that win, and a non-wrestler step down in competition for Leon. Stylistically and rankings-wise, I think this fight makes the most sense. Carlos Ulberg should fight Yuri Prochazka. I know this one's already been fan-picked a ton, and honestly I just agree with it. Whoever wins this is in a good position for a title shot after Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. And Jan Blachowicz should fight Volkan Ozdemir. Both guys are coming off close decision losses to Carlos Ulberg, where neither guy really took much damage. And, I mean, similar timetables, I suppose. Volkan last fought, I think, in November or December of last year. So just a few months separated schedule-wise, and these guys haven't fought each other yet. So I think it's a good fight to make, and then the winner of this fight you can look to give a top 5 opponent. Did you guys end up watching UFC London? Let me know what you guys thought. Was it one of the worst fight night cards in recent memory? A card that ended up having less finishes than Vittori versus Dolidze 2 in the Apex last week? Let me know what you guys thought down below, and I'll be making a video breaking down Moreno versus Urseg later this week. See ya.